FIFA President Gianni Infantino arrives to Morocco for a 2-day working visit. The national vaccination campaign has been extended to the age group between 60 and 64 years old and people with chronic diseases. And the EU representative in Morocco, Claudia Waidi, gives a press conference in Rabat on the 2021 perspectives of Morocco-EU partnership. The president of the International Football Federation, FIFA, Gianni Infantino, arrived this morning in Morocco to pay an official working visit to the kingdom. Infantino was greeted upon his arrival at Rabat Saleh Airport by President of the Royal Moroccan Football Federation, Fouzi Lakja. This visit is part of the consolidation of the strong existing relations between FIFA and the officials of the Royal Moroccan Football Generation. It also aims to develop cooperation between the two bodies in the promotion of national and continental football. Starting today, the national vaccination campaign will be extended to the age group between 60 and 64 years and to people suffering from chronic diseases, according to the Ministry of Health. Epidemiologist Jafar Heikel provides us with more details on this topic.
As you may know, the vaccine strategy in Morocco started with people over 75 years and with health professionals and people with some strategic profession, I mean police, military, etc. Now Morocco is starting a new action plan after people vaccinated with age between 65 to 17. Today, we will start people between the age of 60 to 64 and also vulnerable people, I mean people with chronic disease, diabetes, hypertension, cancer, and other chronic disease. So the strategy is to protect the majority of people with some vulnerability, I mean because of age or because of chronic disease. It will be very important because in order to reach the collective protection, I mean the collective immunity, we have to vaccinate at least 60% of this target population. And I think that Morocco is going well in this process. And after these vulnerable people, we will also vaccinate people between the age of 40 or 45 until 64, and also people in this category of age with chronic disease.
Health authorities in the kingdom recorded 446 new COVID-19 cases, according to yesterday's report of the Ministry of Health. The ministry, or the Health Ministry, has also announced 808 new recoveries from COVID-19 and 15 coronavirus-related deaths. The number of deaths, meanwhile, reached 574, maintaining a national fatality rate of 1.8%. EU representative in Morocco, Claudia Waidi, has given a press conference in Rabat on the 2021 perspectives of Morocco-EU partnership. Wissam El-Hankari was present at the conference and got the following statement from EU representative in Morocco, Claudia Waidi.
2020 a montré que nous avons un partenariat solidaire entre amis.
2020 has shown that we have an exceptional solidarity partnership with Morocco. Together, we have made it our goal to inject 450 million euros to fight against the pandemic. Many efforts have been made from the Moroccan and European Union part upon the creation of King Mohammed VI's special fund. This fund was created at the beginning of the pandemic thanks to the remarkable far-sighted vision of the king, and I commend this strong political engagement. Of course, we are already working on future plans, and all the steps that we have taken this year are based on the experience that we have acquired from last year's crisis. So I am very proud and happy because of this success and shared results.
Très content de cette réussite, résultat partagé.
EU countries have already received approximately 40 million coronavirus vaccine doses, with another 300 million on their way. European Commission Vice President Marcos Sefcovic said on Tuesday the European Union started its vaccination campaign in late December and has already authorized the use of the vaccines by AstraZeneca, Moderna, and Pfizer-BioNTech. Much more needs to be done to address the specific risks the climate crisis poses to peace and security. United Nations Chief Antonio Guterres told the Security Council. Guterres is asking developed countries to help the developing ones in climate action. Shema Bouye.
The climate emergency is the defining issue of our time. These shocks not only damage the environment on which we depend, they also weaken our political, economic, and social systems. We need to protect the people and communities that are being hit already by climate disruption.
UN Secretary General keeps urging developed countries to step up and do their utmost to help developing economies and societies cope with climate change. Antonio Guterres has expressed these remarks at an online meeting of the UN Security Council hosted yesterday by UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson. The goal of this open debate is to make 2021 a turning point to end the climate emergency. In this regard, Boris Johnson has called on the member states to take action following on the UK's footsteps.
Last year, we passed a law committing us in the UK to achieving net zero carbon emissions by 2050, and we've pledged to slash emissions by 68% by 2030. That's the steepest reduction for any major economy. So my message to you all today is now the UN Security Council has got to act too.
A lot more needs to be done, and Mr. Antonio Guterres has mentioned a set of priorities to be addressed in order to mitigate the economic and social repercussions of the global climate crisis.
First, we need a greater focus on prevention through strong, ambitious climate action. We must create a truly global coalition to commit to net zero emissions by the middle of the century. Second, we need immediate actions to protect countries, communities, and people from increasingly frequent and severe climate impacts. We need a breakthrough on adaptation and resilience, which means dramatically raising the level of investments. And we also need stronger social protection to support those impacted. Third, we need to embrace a concept of security that puts people at its center. The COVID-19 pandemic has shown the devastation that so-called non-traditional security threats can cause on a global scale. Preventing and addressing the poverty, food insecurity, and displacement caused by climate disruption contributes to sustaining peace and reducing the risk of conflict. Respect for human rights, particularly women's rights, the rule of law, inclusion, and diversity are fundamental to solving the climate crisis and creating more peaceful and stable societies.
And some good news in favor of the cause. The United States of America recently announced rejoining the Paris Climate Agreement. What's more, the Biden administration plans drastic emissions cuts over the next 3 decades. And with this move, it would reinvigorate the global fight against climate change.
Also in the news, UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson has unveiled his timetable for the gradual lifting of the lockdown in England, starting on March the 8th. If all conditions are met, the restrictions will be completely lifted by the 21st of June. UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson.
With every day that goes by, this programme of vaccination is creating a shield around the entire population, which means that we're now travelling on a one-way road to freedom. Whenever we ease the lockdown, whether it's today or in 6 or 9 months, we've got to be realistic and accept that there will be more infections, more hospitalizations, and therefore, sadly, more deaths, just as there are every year with flu. And thanks to the vaccinations, that there is light ahead, leading us to a spring and a summer, which I think will be seasons of hope and from which we will not go back. This isn't the end today, but it's very clearly a roadmap that takes us to the end and takes us on a one-way journey. We will be guided by the data and by the progress that we make, and that's why it is important also to be cautious.
And let's take you through the headlines again before closing this news bulletin.